Well, recently, many people have been asking me about my weight loss, and I'm very grateful for the concern that's been expressed about that, really. And rest assured that, as far as I know, all is well. It's been an intentional journey. I have to say, I've been well overweight for about 30 years. 30 years too long, really. I think it probably goes back to being at school. I absolutely hated sport and physical education. I think partly because we had a teacher who was a bit of a tyrant. He'd been in the army, and I think he thought he was still in the army, actually. So I did my best to avoid all that stuff. And my cunning ploy was that we had in the school I attended a brass teacher who came in the afternoons just to coincide very nicely with sport and PE. So I got hold of which afternoon was going to be the game sport afternoon, and then I worked out which brass instrument this teacher was teaching on a Monday or a Wednesday or whatever day it was that particular year. And so if it happened to coincide with trumpet, I learnt the trumpet for a year, and I managed to get my lesson timed exactly halfway through the sports thing, so it wasn't worth going to the sport before or after. So I did the trumpet lesson, and then I hung around and I used to play the piano for the other people having trumpet lessons, so it worked all round. And then the next year I'd go back and think, now then, games afternoon fits in with a trombone, so I did a year of learning the trombone, which is a kind of weird way of learning brass instruments, really. But actually it gave me a really useful insight into brass instruments, which was something away from my kind of principal areas. So in a strange sort of way, it was a useful musical benefit to me. However, it probably wasn't useful to me physically because I just didn't do any sport or exercise. Then I went to university, didn't do much there either. And then you know how it is, you start to get a bit older and the pounds start to creep on. And then a few years later, you're quite significantly overweight. Well, a couple of years ago, I thought this is finally time to do something about this. I've got to a certain age where I need to do something. So, with the great help of my wife, Karen, who set about being my personal trainer, my goodness, what a challenge to her, we started to walk every day and to walk quite fast. And now we try to power walk something like 5 or 6 miles, or that's about 8 kilometers, I suppose, each day. We do it pretty quickly. We try to do it during the lunch break because that means you're under pressure to get back in time for the rest of the day's work. And started to try and eat a more healthy diet. So just in case you're wondering, how did I do that? People keep asking me. Well, I mean, breakfast is for me all bran with a bit of fruit. Lunch is salad, and then we eat a perfectly normal meal in the evening. We try to limit the carbs a little bit, be a little bit careful about rich sauces and that kind of thing. And we try to eat at a kind of sensible time, 6 o'clock-ish, so there's time to digest the meal. So for me, I've not sat counting calories. I've not been to Weight Watchers or anything. The thought of sitting in a circle with a load of people talking about how overweight I am doesn't particularly appeal, although I know it works wonders for some people. But for me, it's not been counting calories. It's just been that daily power walking and a bit of cycling as well, I might add, and just eating a more sensible diet. I've always had a sweet tooth, I have to admit to that. So I've had to be quite disciplined about that. But it's worked for me and I have actually lost a lot of weight. So big challenge now is, can I keep the weight off? And that's the big one that lies ahead. So that's the story of my weight loss.